Boom, we are live. Hey, how is it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward here. And today it is Friday, May 29th, and I'm going to be doing a live video Q&A for the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So if you're tuned in right now, first off, I want to welcome you to the chat, but let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if this is coming through loud and clear and all that good stuff, like test, make sure the mic is coming through, make sure the video is coming through. I want to make sure that this is all good, going well, so that we can actually have a good chat today. I always want to do my audio video check before we get going. Let me just move this in a little bit closer there for you. All right. Cool. Let's see. We have Jesse is joining in. We've got Angela's joining in. Loud and clear, loud and clear. Good stuff. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. So I am a busy man today. This past few days now has been very busy for me. One of the things I've been doing is I've been attending a virtual fitness mastermind event. Now, this is something that I do on a regular basis. I travel, to keep learning from some of the best fitness coaches in the world. And of course, due to the whole COVID situation, we can't physically travel. Like I had planned right now, this weekend, I was supposed to be in British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada, for a 3-day mastermind event, studying fitness and nutrition. Because again, I keep studying. It's an ongoing process. I keep learning and keep investing in myself into ongoing education so that I can be the best version of me, ultimately the best fitness coach to help my students. So we had that planned out and, didn't go well. Obviously, the whole COVID situation shut things down. So we've been doing a virtual mastermind, virtual training, virtual seminars. And I've been at that all day. Like literally, I'm just coming off now an 8-hour-long Zoom meeting attending the virtual seminar. And yesterday was over 8 hours of Zoom meetings as well. I got the same thing again tomorrow. So I've been pretty busy with that. But you know what? Still keeping active, still keeping fit. And the reason I actually made a video about this and shared it yesterday on Facebook, because a lot of times we do things like this and we're mentally exhausted. Like just visualize yourself like at the end of a long day of work. Chances are you're probably mentally and exhausted. You're mentally drained and you're tired. But unless you're physically doing work, unless you are actually out like physical labor, lifting, carrying, moving, heavy stuff, you're not physically tired. You're just mentally tired, mentally exhausted. And there's a difference. And you have to learn how to differentiate between mental exhaustion and physical exhaustion. Like in my case, I'm sitting on my ass in front of the computer. That is mentally draining, but it's not physically draining. So after all this is done, guess what I'm going to do? I'm getting outside and I'm going for a bike ride. I'm going to go for at least an hour just to get some fresh air in my lungs, to soak up some of the sunshine before it goes down. And I just want to get outside and get some exercise. And this is something that I've kind of made a habit because I know that I work and function so much better when I get regular exercise. I don't let that's like one of my non-negotiables. Every single day, I must get some sort of exercise, even if it's as simple as getting outside for a walk, if it's getting outside for a bicycle ride, or if it's a full-on weight training workout, or some combination thereof. Like sometimes I'll do weights and cardio on the same day. But every day I have to do some form of exercise, no matter what. And even if I feel mentally tired, mentally exhausted after the day, physically I'm fine. Like I don't have any physical exhaustion sitting on my ass in front of a computer all day, right? Physically I'm well rested. It's just mentally. So I want to share that because a lot of times people fall into the trap of saying, oh, I'm too tired to work out. I'm too lazy. I'm too this. It's all up here. It's a mental block. But what you'll find is if you can kind of like not think about it too much and just do it. Like don't overthink the process of exercising. Just do it. Get that ball rolling. Get yourself outside. Just start going for a walk, going for a bike ride, or just show up to the gym, or in this case, if the gym's not open, then just start doing some body weight exercises at home or whatever. But just show up and actually start the process without thinking about it too much. It's so much easier to get started. And you will make so much better progress. And then what you'll find is once you get started, like the hardest part is starting. Once you get started, then the rest is like downhill from there. It's like coasting downhill. It's so much easier. The hardest part is just the initial show up. Make a habit of showing up. If you can do that, and that's one thing you get, like if you get nothing else out of this video chat today, but you get that, like make a habit of showing up, it will make such an impact. Like it will be able to take your fitness to that next level. Just the consistency, show up day after day after day, master the basics, and that will move you in the right direction. So again, I just wanted to share that with you because, like I say, I've been, caffeinated, motivated, keep myself going, but I'm still getting outside for some exercise, even though today has been a very long day for me. So let's see who we got tuning in. Let's see. As I mentioned, Jesse is joining us. Angela is joining us. If you're brand new to these video chats, let me know. Type the letter N into the comment section of the video chat window there. And if you're a regular, type the letter R. I want to know who's a regular and who's a new person, because I see some names there that I don't recognize. If you're new, let me know. And again, welcome. And let me know where you're tuning in from, what part of the world it is, what time it is in your local area, right? Because I know we have an international audience who tune into these video chats, like literally people from all across the globe. I mean, obviously we get folks from Canada and the United States, but we get a lot from Europe. We get some from Australia, New Zealand, Middle East, wherever. Like, let me know where you're tuning in from. All right, Jesse's saying he's a regular, 3:45 in Texas right now. Cool. How's the weather in Texas? I bet it's pretty hot down there now. All right, who else we got there? Let's see. We have Nemesis joining in. Let's see. Angela saying, I don't need to lose weight. I just want to watch. Well, what is your fitness goal, Angela? I'm sure there's something that you want to work on. I mean, even if you don't want to lose weight, maybe you want to improve your athletic performance. Maybe you want to build muscle. I mean, it's not just weight loss. That's one thing. Like a lot of people think it's all about losing weight. Now, granted, that's quite common for a lot of people. You look at the average person in society today. I mean, we live in an overweight society, especially in North America. But there's a lot more to fitness than simply losing weight. I mean, maybe it's to improve your athletic performance. Maybe it's to build muscle. Maybe there's some specific thing that you want to focus on, right? And we can certainly discuss that. So let me know, what is your main goal? What is it that you're actually trying to achieve now with your fitness and nutrition? What's your purpose? What's your driving force? What's the motivation behind all this? We got Dale's joining in. He says, I have had trouble gaining weight. I haven't done any weight exercises. I haven't ate heaps, but every day, rice and tuna, that could help. I used to be stuck at 68 kilos. Don't know what that is in pounds, but now 78 kilos. Okay. 68 kilos is 150 pounds-ish. 78 kilos, 171 and a half, 172, round off. So you made some good gains, all right? You said you had trouble gaining weight. I mean, it obviously works. One thing I'm going to talk about here now is when it comes to gaining muscular body weight, because this is something that a lot of people struggle with. I mean, especially for guys, but for girls as well. Sometimes you get the underweight girls who want to fill out their frame with more muscular body weight as well. That applies to guys and girls. But one thing that I want to caution you on is try not to fall into the trap of forcing your body to gain weight. When you try and force weight gain, i.e. purposely force feeding yourself, eating, excessive amounts of calories in effort to try and gain weight, it usually backfires. Like, it may work initially. You may see some good results and you may see the scale climbing and you feel good about that. But what often happens is there's a threshold, and you can quickly reach that threshold where now all of a sudden the calorie surplus, it's not causing more muscle, it's causing more body fat. And this is something that's quite common. And a lot of people fall into this trap. It's a bulking trap where you end up bulking up, but it's not lean mass you're gaining, it's just excess body fat. And even though the scale continues to go up, and even though, okay, you may fill out your t-shirt with more size and everything else, and you feel, okay, I'm getting bigger, and you're looking at the scale and everything else, it's not lean weight. And I see this a lot. Like, a lot of guys, they brag about how much weight they gained on their bulk. And then when you actually see them, if they take their shirt off or something like that, and you actually see what they look like, it ain't pretty, right? They're just getting fat. So there's a fine line. And honestly, you do not need as big of a calorie surplus to gain lean mass as a lot of people think. One of the strategies that I actually recommend for a lot of my coaching students whose goal is to bulk up and gain lean mass is focus on actually consuming a calorie maintenance. Calorie maintenance, having like an equal ratio of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So try and split up those calories between the 3 macros and just see how your body responds. Like ideally a slow weight gain is what we're going for here. Like literally if you are gaining half a pound to 1 pound per week, that is plenty. I wouldn't try and force it any more than that. Like literally 2 to 4 pounds at the end of a month is more than enough. If you're gaining faster than that, beyond the initial first week, because when you change your diet for the first week or something like that, you probably gain like a few pounds of water retention and glycogen and stuff. But beyond that initial water weight, and this applies for fat loss too. I mean, when you go on a fat loss diet, you end up losing a lot of water weight. When you go on a bulking diet, you end up gaining some water weight. But beyond that initial first week or two of water weight fluctuation, you want to settle into a slow, steady progress. Like when it comes to gaining weight, it's a slower process than losing fat. Like with fat, you can push it to say like 1 to 2 pounds a week consistently, and that's a good, healthy, and realistic weight loss for most people. When it comes to gaining mass, you're going to cut those numbers in about half. Like for most people, gaining anywhere between half to 1 pound per week is good, solid progress. And if you're gaining more than that, it's a good likelihood that you're gaining extra body fat in the process. So slow and steady. And in fact, I actually recommend, like a lot of people, keep your diet almost the same as if it was a fat loss diet. Just slightly increase the portion sizes a little bit so that you're in a very slight calorie surplus, or even strive for maintenance, like I mentioned before, because a lot of times we overestimate or we get the numbers wrong. So even if you're striving for maintenance calories, you may actually be in a slight surplus, because first off, like food labels are not totally accurate. Right? Like you may not know this or not, but like when you look at the nutrition label on a food item, that can legally be off by 20% and still be within the guidelines. Like the FDA, they allow a 20% margin of error. And a lot of times they're underestimating the numbers because people buy foods based on, low calorie most of the time. So, they may say, well, this is 100 calories per serving, when in reality it could be 120 calories per serving. And legally, they can get away with that on the food label and still, not get in any trouble with mislabeling or anything like that. The FDA and then the nutrition labels and all that, they allow a 20% margin of error when it comes to nutrition labels. So for those of you who are counting your macros and tracking things, you could be way off and not even know it, right? Like you could be entering the numbers perfectly based on what the label says, but you could still be off by 20%, right? So it's just the reality of it. But again, I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but bottom line, don't overdo the bulking process, because very often you can tip the scales in favor of more fat than muscle, and that's just going to set you back. Because then when you eventually have to switch to a cutting plan to lose all that fat you gained, a lot of times you end up losing a lot of the muscle that you gained in the process as well. So you're better off staying lean and making slow, steady gains over the long term than trying to do this yo-yo bulk up and down approach. I mean, I've been guilty of that in the past, and it doesn't work. If I could go back in time, that's one of the things I would change. I would be more conservative with my bulking, and I actually mentioned that in one of my previous videos. All right, who else we got joining in? Let's see. Get another sip of coffee, get caffeinated and motivated. Let's see. We've got Nemesis joining in saying, I'm doing grip strengthener training, but I'm not sure as to how often I should do it. I don't want to overdo it. All right. It really depends on how much you're doing and all that stuff. But a general rule of thumb when doing grip work, I would recommend every other day or 3 days per week, and listen to your body. So that's how I trained. Like when I was really into the heavy grips, hand grippers, and pushing it hard, like I still got them. I don't train it as consistently as I used to, but I was really hardcore into gripper training back when they were really popular in the early 2000s. And I got certified on the heavy grips 300, the 350, and the 400 back in the day and stuff. But I was training them 3 days a week. And I actually have a hand gripper training manual that you can download. That explains a full gripper training routine that I've followed to build up to closing You know, the heavy grips 300 at the time, and then they came up with a 350, and then they came up with a 400. So I actually have a program that outlines how to do that. If you'd like me to send you a copy of it, I'd be more than happy to. Just send me an email, leeh@leehayward.com, leeh@leehayward.com, and put in hand gripper manual in the subject, and I'll shoot you an email. I'll send it to you for free. Right? It's a PDF download. I'll send it to you for free, and that applies to anybody who would like a copy of it. I mean, I'll be more than happy to share that with you. But that goes into a full program that I followed, and it works really well. But to answer your question, 3 days a week should be good. But if you find that your hands and your forearms are getting extra sore and tired, then don't hesitate to take a day off. Like the grip is just like any other muscle. It needs time to rest, recover, and grow. But because it is a smaller body part, it can recover fairly quickly and not stress your central nervous system. Like nobody's going to overtrain and like physically overtrain because you did too much grip work or too much calf work or too much ab work. But you can overtrain the individual muscles, joints, tendons, and ligaments. That's what I'm getting at. So if you find like your hands are just painfully sore and like, oh man, I can't do it, take an extra day off, right? Just to let the muscles, joints, tendons, and ligaments recover. But as far as your central nervous system, like you're not going to physically overtrain your body because you did too much grip work. You know, that's very unlikely. Not like if you did, like training legs, for example. You train a heavy leg day, like that's physically exhausting. Like that drains you from top to bottom because it's stressing the central nervous system. You do a heavy back workout, that's stressing your central nervous system, right? You do a bunch of gripper work, like you're not physically exhausted, but it's placing stress on the actual muscles of the forearms, hands, and all that stuff. So listen to your body, right? Listen to your body and give yourself extra rest days when you feel you need them. And you know what? Your body doesn't lie, right? Your body will tell you when something hurts, there's a reason, right? When something doesn't feel right, there's a reason. Like learn to be more in tune with your body and the little cues that it's giving you, because it's communicating with you all the time. It'll tell you when things feel good. It'll tell you when things don't feel good. And you have to learn to listen to it. And the better you are at that, the better progress you're going to make over the long term. Yeah, Mike is joining in with us. Will squats help balance out muscle size? Squats is a great exercise for building muscle in general. I mean, not only is it going to build the legs, obviously, but it's going to help to just stimulate growth all over because it has an impact on your central nervous system, right? It has that progressional effect throughout your entire body where if you get stronger with squats, you're going to stimulate a muscle response throughout the entire body, right? Like if you put, like, let's just say you train your squats hard and over the next several months, you put like 50 pounds on your squat, you're going to get bigger and stronger all over just as a progressional effect of that 50 pounds on your squats, right? It's going to have an impact because of the way that it forces growth throughout the entire body. Like when I look at my training in the past, when I've made some of my best gains is when if my squat is going up, then pretty much everything else is going up as well. Like it's rare to get bigger and stronger in the squat and then get weaker somewhere else, right? It usually doesn't happen. And vice versa. If you're finding the big lifts are going down, you're probably getting weaker in the other lifts as well. So it does have that progressional effect all over. All right, what else we've got? Mike says he's new to the chat. So far, so good. He's from Vancouver. Oh, awesome. All right. I love Vancouver. I've been there several times. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, we got the complete polar opposites of the country here, right? I'm on the East Coast. You're over on the West Coast. I mean, but I find when you get on the coasts, like that's some of the most beautiful scenery. Like I love the ocean and stuff like that. And of course, you know, BC, Vancouver, that area, you got the mountains, right? Here in Newfoundland, we don't have mountains. We got molehills compared to what you guys got over there, but it's absolutely beautiful, right? But that's awesome, right? I like to say, if there was no COVID, I would be in Vancouver right now this weekend. That was the plan, but obviously COVID shut things down for us. We got Jesse joining in. This is actually very cool in Texas today. It had a lot of thunderstorms lately. Wow. It's actually warm. This is the warmest day of the year for us here in Newfoundland. Like the month of May has been like cold. Like we've had snow in the month of May, right? To kind of put things in perspective. So, I mean, it's been like cold, but today, like right now, it is 23 degrees Celsius. Or no, it was 23 degrees Celsius. It's actually cooled down to 18 degrees Celsius right now. I just hit an update. But it would hit a high of 23 today, which is very hot for us. But 18, that's still pretty darn good, especially considering we've been barely cracking, we've had a lot of days where we haven't even hit double digits in terms of the temperature, right? It's been single digit degrees Celsius, that is, not Fahrenheit. Who else we got joining in? We have Daniels joining us from South Wales. This is a late workout for him tonight. I'm glad to have you joining in. Welcome to the video chats. We have Josh from Alberta. Glad to have you tuning in as well. We got Ben joining us. He says, is it okay to sacrifice some sleep for the gym? I have a very demanding sitting job, so not much time to work out. If I take 1 to 2 hours for the gym, that leaves me with 6 to 7 hours for sleep. Is that okay? All right, 6 to 7 hours of sleep is not bad. That's actually pretty good. Like, if you're getting good quality 6 to 7 hours of sleep, I wouldn't be too stressed about it. When you get less than 6 hours of sleep, that's when you need to worry about it. That's when it's really hindering your whole recovery and everything else. And everybody's unique with this. Like, I talked to some guys who can function optimally, like 6, as long as they're getting 6 good hours of sleep, their best time, right? They can handle that and go on. Some people need 8 hours. Some people need 9 hours. So, like, everybody's in their own little thing. For me, I'm kind of like that 6 to 7 hour guy. If I get 7 hours of good sleep, I'm good to go, right? That's enough for me. More than that is kind of like a bonus, but I wouldn't really worry about that, right? If you're getting 6 to 7 good hours of sleep, that's fine, right? You should be able to function on it. But again, it's all an individual thing. Now, with that being said, you can try to optimize the sleep the best you can. Obviously, like, if you can, take a nap in the afternoon, if that helps with it, or try to get to bed earlier, or if possible, sleep in later, or whatever. I mean, like, try to do your best to optimize it and minimize some of that dead time. Like, what really kills sleep is like excess TV, excess social media, excess time on the computer. All that kind of stuff is what really kicks in and hinders sleep. So minimizing some of that stuff will go a long way. But again, 6 to 7 hours, you should be good with that. Mike saying, I had a full hip replacement 10 years ago, trying to balance out leg muscle size. Been training hard for 6 months. Went from 220 down to 190, starting to look good. All right. Full hip replacement 10 years ago. You know what? I mean, knock on wood, I've never had any major issues with my hips or my joints or anything like that. Like, everything on me is me, right? No artificial joints or whatever. So I don't have any experience with it, but I do know people who have had hip replacements, who've had knee replacements, and different operations like that, where they've had the artificial joints put in, and they still bounce back. Like, there's one person I know, it's a local power lifter. He, not too long ago, I mean, like within the last few years or so, had a hip replacement and went through the whole rehab process and everything else, and to learn how to walk again and then learn how to lift again and all that. But I mean, he's back competing in powerlifting and squatting big numbers and deadlifting big numbers. Like, I'm talking like 300-400 plus pounds with artificial hips, right? I mean, like, and he's not a big man, like but still, like, it can be done. So just the fact that you've had a hip replacement, I mean, it's not going to hinder your training. As long as the hip replacement went well and you've recovered fine and everything else and you feel good, you can still train and make some good gains with artificial hips. I've seen it done. And then vice versa. I've seen some hip replacements done that did not go well, and people have been in a lot of pain and agony. Like, I've got an uncle who had a hip replacement, and they put in the wrong size hip replacement. Like, don't ask me how. I don't understand it, right? But I mean, it's like the stupidest mistake. But they put in like a lighter hip replacement for his body weight. So the artificial joint that they put in was not built to sustain his body weight, and he's had nothing but agony. And they had to open him up again and put in a brand new hip replacement, and then he had to go through the whole rehab process. So I mean, it's just been a nightmare for him. But if it's done right, if it's done properly, then you can recover and be back to full mobility without any pain. And I've seen that, which is obviously the best scenario. That's what we want, right? Anyway, let's move on. We've got Steve joining in. Says, sorry, I've not been on for ages. But you're here now. That's the main thing. Welcome to the chat, Steve. Glad to have you tuning in. Says he's been ill. Oh, I hope you're feeling better. We have Zep from Thailand. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you tuning in. So I guess in Thailand, it must be Saturday morning for you, I would assume. You're in the future. Hopefully the future's looking good. We've got Mike saying, I've been losing weight, but getting stronger. That is awesome. Love to hear that. Losing fat, losing weight, whatever you want to call it, fat weight, and getting stronger. That's like the best of both worlds. That means you're losing that stubborn body fat while you're building lean muscle in the process. And it can be done when you have the right approach, right? A lot of people think it can't be done. Oh, it's impossible to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. No, you can do it. But the thing is, you're not going to physically get bigger, right? Like a lot of people, I get, this is the common scenario I get. Like someone might be like, I'm a skinny, fat 150 pounds, right? I'm 150 pounds, but I still got a pudgy belly. I want to be 200 pounds and shredded. Like, do you realize that the transformation that has to take place to go from a skinny, fat 150 to a shredded 200? Like that is years of work. And depending on your genetics, it may not even be possible. Like I'm not even 200 pounds, right? Like right now I'm around 190 pounds, right? So, I mean, it's a lot of people have unrealistic expectations, but when you look at the bigger picture, like, can you increase your lean muscle mass and lose body fat mass? Yes, you can, but your overall body weight will decrease because it's easier and faster to lose body fat than it is to gain lean muscle. Right, so to just throw some practical numbers, like it's possible for someone to lose 20 pounds of body fat while simultaneously gaining, say, 5 pounds of lean muscle. So there will be a net scale weight change of about 15 pounds, but there will actually be a body composition change of 20 pounds of body fat and an additional 5 pounds of lean mass. Like that is a common scenario that I see a lot of when I'm working with people one-on-one, you know, coaching students. You can lose body fat and gain lean muscle, but overall the weight does drop. The weight on the scale will drop. You're not going to gain scale weight and lose body fat at the same time. Like you can't physically gain that much muscle compared to the fat loss, right? Unless you're doing some, you know, unless you got crazy genetics or you're taking crazy performance enhancing drugs, right? It's not going to happen naturally. Let's see what else we've got. We have Lee Dunnigan joining in. Oh, second, now my chat window just jumped here. Where am I to, guys? There's Lee. All right, says, took your advice last week, and I done your rotator cuff strengthening videos and rotator cuff warm-ups. First time in 3 years, the pain has been reduced massively. So happy. Thank you. Way to go, my friend. Glad to hear that those suggestions helped. And again, if you do have anybody watching, you have any issues with rotator cuff, I've got a bunch of videos covering some rotator cuff exercises. They're just simple things that you can do at home. You don't need any fancy equipment or whatever. Just do a search for Lee Hayward rotator cuff, and you'll find those videos. But again, I'm glad to hear that they were helpful for you. Right? Keep doing them on a regular basis. When it comes to rehab, a little bit frequently is better than a lot infrequently. Like you're better to take 2 or 3 minutes a day and do, some rotator cuff exercises versus taking like a half hour once a week and doing this big old rotator cuff workout, right? You're better off doing a little tiny bit daily because that little bit of daily movement increases the circulation, increases the blood flow, helps to aid with the recovery process. A little bit frequently is better than a lot infrequently. And that principle applies to so many things. It applies to your training, your nutrition, building habits, right? We can go on, but a little bit frequently, right? That's what you want. Consistency over intensity. All right. Daniel saying, I built up my upper body pretty well with lean muscle mass. However, I feel my legs are out of proportion and they do look a bit thin. How often should I train legs? What are the best exercises? This is a little strategy that you can incorporate. Now, there's multiple ways to go about specializing a body part, but this is some stuff that I've used with good success. Take your stronger body parts. So in your case, it's your upper body. Train that once a week, right? Put it on a maintenance program. Like your goal now is just to kind of like maintain your upper body, but we're going to prioritize the lower body. So train your upper body once a week and train your lower body twice a week. So you're going to double up on the leg workouts. But how you're going to do that is because you're going to scale back the volume and frequency of the upper body workouts. Because you need to look at the bigger picture. Like a lot of times people say, okay, I want to build up my legs, or I want to build up my arms, or I want to build up whatever. And they think, well, I'm just going to do more of that body part. And yes, that works, but you got to look at the bigger picture, because we only have so much recovery available. It's not like you have endless amounts of recovery where you can just start stacking on workouts on top of workouts and recover from it. Eventually, you're going to hit your threshold where you can't physically do any more and still recover. So that's why you want to take your strong body parts, the ones that are already well developed, the ones that are not, stubborn for you, put that on a maintenance program. Like, just do a few sets of it once a week, just enough to maintain the size and the gains that you have there. And then take the stubborn body parts, the ones that you're really trying to build up, and prioritize those. Those are the ones that you can train more often with higher volume, higher frequency, and prioritize them. So maintenance program, maintenance training for the strong body parts, prioritization for the weaker body parts, and that'll help over time to balance things out. And I've done this myself. Like, some of my stronger body parts, like I don't train them that often. Like, prime example, in my case, I've got big calves. Genetically, I've got good calves. So if you see me at the gym, I'm not spending endless hours doing calf raises, because I don't need to. They're already big. They're already strong. I don't need to make them bigger and stronger. Right? I'm going to focus on my weaker body parts, right? And prioritize those muscles instead. You need to do the same for yourself. Figure out what's your strong body parts and just train them for maintenance. Figure out what your weak body parts are and train them with prioritization. And that will help to balance out your proportions over time. Let's see. We've got... Let's have another swig. Josh is saying, if you're tired and you don't have energy or strength, does that indicate you're not eating enough calories? Not necessarily. There's a lot of things that could be making you feel tired. Could be mental exhaustion, mental fatigue. It really depends. It really depends on the situation. So it could be calories. In some cases, it may be. But more often than not, it's probably... Like, that is a loaded question. I know it doesn't sound like a loaded question, but it is, because in order for me to really help you with that, I would want to sit down and have a conversation, and like we would talk about, okay, like your lifestyle habits, your eating habits, your exercise habits, your sleep habits. Like, all these things come into play, right? If you got a shitty night's sleep the night before, then you're going to be tired the next day, and that's going to affect your strength and energy, regardless of how much food you eat. If you drink alcohol, that's going to affect your strength and energy, regardless of how much food you eat, right? Like, if you're overtrained, right, that's going to affect your strength and energy, regardless of how much food you eat. So there's so many things. If you're under stress, that's going to affect your strength and energy, regardless of how much food you eat. And of course, the amount of food you eat can affect your strength and energy. So it's really a loaded question. I'll tell you what, like, if you would like to kind of like just brainstorm and have a little quick email chat back and forth to see if I could help you with it, send me an email, leeh@leehayward.com, and I'll try my best to help you out. And if I can't help you, then I'll try and point you in the right direction to someone who can. But go ahead, just send me an email, and we can just chat about it offline, back and forth, and just see if we can figure out what it is that's causing that for you. Because like right now, it's a loaded question. There's so many variables. I wouldn't be able to really diagnose it here and do it justice. Dale saying, thanks for answering my question. Really appreciate you taking the time. You're welcome, my friend. Glad to help out. We have Abram joining in from Amarillo, Texas. We've got Jesse saying, I've reached a goal of 185 pounds and feel comfortable there. I don't plan on going any lower or higher. Should I focus on maintenance calories or take another approach? I would actually focus on maintenance calories, like eating until you're just comfortably full with good, natural, unprocessed foods in well-balanced ratios of protein, carbs, and fat. So like try and shoot for about a third protein, third carbs, third fat, maintenance calories, regular cardio, and just enjoy the lifestyle, right? That's kind of what I'm doing. Like, I'm not trying to get bigger or smaller. I'm kind of quite happy where I'm at, but you can settle into enjoying the lifestyle and trying to get better at your current body weight. And over time, you will find that your body composition will improve, right? You'll still be able to lose fat and build muscle and maintain close to the same weight, but you don't necessarily have to force it, right? You don't have to be so strict with counting calories and everything else. Like, you can kind of like be in maintenance mode where you just like, some days will be higher calories, some days will be lower calories, but just kind of keep track of your body weight, keep track of your progress. And over time, you can actually maintain and actually improve your body composition. And that's a nice place to be at when you're at your ideal body weight, right? Because now you don't need to stress over it, right? Stress over trying to gain or lose or whatever. You can just kind of like enjoy the process. So that's a nice place to be. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that you're at that level. Mike saying, do testosterone supplements help if you have been tested with low testosterone? They can to a certain degree, but this is what I would do if I was in that situation. If you went to your doctor, you got your blood work done, and you have low testosterone levels, then talk to your doctor about what your options are in terms of hormone replacement therapy. That's what I would recommend, especially if you're over the age of 40. Now, if you're young, like if you're in your teens or your 20s or whatever, and you got low testosterone, well, okay, you got other issues going on. But like for men over the age of 40, like talk to a hormone replacement specialist. Talk to your doctor, see what your options are, because like I've seen a lot of guys in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, like start using hormone replacement therapy, and they feel so much better. Now, it's not a magic bullet. Like a lot of people think, oh, you're going to get on hormone replacement therapy, and then next you're going to be ripped and shredded and jacked, and everything's going to be great. No, it doesn't work like that. You can still be fat and lazy and out of shape, even though you're taking hormone replacement therapy. Like, just look at the average teenager or the average guy in their 20s. Like, you can still have fat teenagers. You can still have fat guys in their 20s, even though they have high testosterone levels. Like, just because somebody has high testosterone doesn't automatically mean they're ripped and jacked, right? They still have to follow it up with diet and training and everything else. But if you have low testosterone now, and then you put it up to the normal range, you're going to just feel better. Your body's going to function better, right? You're going to have more energy, better recovery, better sex drive. You're going to feel like a man again and all that good stuff. So talk to your doctor and see what your options are. That's what I would recommend. And like, I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but I have a lot of coaching students who are doing that. Like they're working with their doctor, working with hormone replacement specialists, keeping things in a healthy, normal range under doctor supervision, of course. And it's making a world of difference. Like they feel so much better, and their recovery is so much better, and their mood and their energy and all that stuff is so much better. So like low testosterone, it has such a negative impact. Like there's more health risks from having too low a testosterone than there is from having too high, right? Because not one thing, it affects you mentally. And like, I don't know, this is kind of a side topic here, but like suicide rates and things like that happen to a lot of people who suffer from depression. And you know what? Having low testosterone levels and not feeling like a man, feeling inadequate, that leads to depression, and that can lead to a lot of negative spiral things. Simply having adequate hormone levels, adequate testosterone levels makes you feel more like a man, makes you feel more confident, helps to battle a lot of the root causes of depression, and can make you feel better. So, I mean, when you're looking at the ways and the pros and the cons, you're better off having adequate testosterone levels than trying to say, oh, I want to keep my testosterones low and blah, 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 right? Like there's more health risks of too low than there is of too high. But again, talk to your doctor, right? Don't do this haphazardly on your own. Talk to your doctor. Let's see what else we've got. Abram is joining us saying, what's better for a bigger chest, pull-ups or push-ups if you don't have a bench press at home? Push-ups. Pull-ups are for the back. Push-ups are for the chest. That's pretty straightforward. Now, indirectly, you're still going to hit some of the chest with pull-ups, but it's primarily a lat exercise. Lats and arms, lats and biceps and forearms are pull-ups. Chest, shoulders, triceps with push-ups. So if you're trying to target your chest, do so with push-ups. Next question here. This one's from the Oblivious Rhino. All right, we have a rhinoceros joining in. He says, after the bulking and cutting concept you told earlier, you recommend someone with hypothyroid. Sorry, let me read that again. After the bulking and cutting concept you told earlier, you'll recommend someone with hypothyroidism go for maintenance. If you have any medical issues with your thyroid, first of all, get it checked out with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified to talk on any medical issues. So I'm not here to try and prescribe anything or diagnose somebody with hypothyroidism or any of that nature. talk to your doctor if you have any issues like that, medical issues. Like, I'm just kind of giving some advice here, but this is not medical advice. So no, I'm not recommending like situations for people with thyroid issues. If you have that, then, you know, seek out medical advice and get the appropriate medication or nutrition advice from your doctor, your dietitian, whatever, based on your individual situation. Lassie is joining in. I'm from Sweden and not in quarantine. I still visit the gym. What's your current workout split? It's pretty basic right now. I usually do weight training one day and cardio the next. That's as much of a split as I have. And I refer to it as my yin and yang training system, where I alternate high intensity weight training one day, low intensity cardio the next. High intensity weight training one day, low intensity cardio the next. And that way I get daily exercise, but it still works within my body's natural recovery, because you're two totally different forms of exercise. Like weight training, you're breaking the muscles down, causing stress to the central nervous system, whereas cardio, you're not breaking the muscles down. It's gentle, it's active recovery training, and it's not stressing the central nervous system, but it's still burning fat. So that's the way that I like to split up my workouts now. Weight training one day, cardio the next, and I just alternate it every day like that. Mike is saying, you're very smart, and I agree with everything you're saying. I appreciate the comment. I hope you're not being sarcastic. No, but again, thanks for tuning in, Mike. Thanks for participating in the chat, and you know, glad to help out, right? I don't claim to know it all, and if I don't know something, then I'm going to be totally upfront and honest. I'm not going to try and BS anybody or pretend that I know something I don't. But you know, the reality is, I've been doing this for 30 years, so I kind of learned a few things along the way over the last 30 years of being involved with the fitness industry. And it's something I'm passionate about. I love this, right? I mean, I don't get paid to do this. I just love doing it, right? Brent is joining in. He says, what would you recommend as the most effective lower trap exercise with dumbbells? Mine randomly feel like they get a pump when I'm not exercising. I guess they're craving some extra attention. Any thoughts? The most effective lower trap exercise with dumbbells. Any type of row is going to engage the traps to a degree. Like, you got to realize all the muscles of the back are going to come into play when you do rows and shrugs and stuff, but you can prioritize the areas to a certain degree based on the exercise you do. So if you want to hit more of the lower trap area, and if I had an anatomy chart, I could show you, like the traps are like this diamond shaped muscle. Like a lot of people think the traps are the top of the shoulders, but the traps actually is, yes, it's the top of the shoulders, but it's also, you know, so it's like a diamond shape. It's in the upper back as well. So anything where you're doing like a bent over row, a face pull, something like that, where you're rowing this way, you know, especially higher, you're going to get more of the upper back trap area, including the lower trap. So face pulls are great. You know, shrugs are great, you know, obviously for the upper traps, but I mean, like you can even do different shrug variations. Like the shrug just doesn't have to be this way. Like you can shrug this way, you can retract your scapula that way, you can shrug forward, right? Like there's I don't have a copy of it right here now. I don't think I do. There's a book called the Kelso Shrug Book. I believe that's what it's called. I could be wrong on that, but if you go to Google and start searching it, I think it's Kelso Shrug Book, Kelso Shrug Book or something like that. But it's a little book, like maybe 100 pages or something, but it elaborates on the whole concept of shrugging. And like a lot of people think shrugs are just this, but it actually gives you like workouts and exercises that you can do to build up your entire upper body by doing shrug exercises in different planes of motion. And you can do different shrug exercises to target all the major muscles, whether you want to target your shoulders, your chest, your back, whatever. Like you can do shrug variations to strengthen those muscles. And that's a cool book. It's a fun little read. I mean, it's not a complicated book or anything like that. I mean, like I say, it's a little simple. You can read it in a few hours type of thing, right? Just a short little book, but it's a fun read, and it'll kind of open your eyes to some different exercises that you can do. But like say, for the traps, the lower trap area, some quick ones off the top of my head, like face pulls, anything with a high row, something along those lines, upright rows, those type of exercises, you're going to hit those muscles. Dakar Brown or Dakar. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but he says, Lee, I need your help. I'm built like Mr. Potato. I have a small arms, small legs, and a keg for a stomach. I was 360 pounds. Now I'm down to 260. Wow. I mean, that's huge. Congrats on losing 100 pounds. But my midsection is killing my motivation to keep going. Well, first off, congrats. Like, you've lost 100 pounds. Like, that is phenomenal. Like, you know, kudos to you. That's huge. As far as motivation, like, man, that should be motivation enough just to keep going right there. Like, do you want to go back to being 360 pounds? Probably not. I probably couldn't pay you enough money to want to go back to being 360 pounds. Like, if I offered, hey, I'll give you $1,000 if you go back to being 360, would you do it? No. If I offered you 10,000, would you go back to being 360? Probably no. Like, I probably couldn't pay you enough money to go back to being 360. Like, that should be your motivation there to, like, continue down this path of living this new healthy lifestyle that you're on. Because you must feel like a totally different person at 260 compared to 360. Now, just like every bit that you lose from this point on, it's just going to make you feel and look that much better. So again, kudos to you for that. That's awesome. As far as taking it to the next level, like that's challenging, and it's really a deeper level question, because I really need to know, like, okay, well, what were you doing up to this point? What's been working? What's not working? Where do you feel you're stuck at? And that's a loaded question, right? Like, it's not something that can be just answered in a quick little comment. I mean, if you would like some help with this, I would be more than willing to have an email conversation with you. So you can email me at leah@leehayward.com, and then we can chat about it, and we can kind of like say, okay, what are you doing? What's working? What's not working? Where are you stuck? And where do you go from here? Right? And just kind of lay out an action plan that way. But to kind of give you some suggestions there, because you mentioned, okay, your limbs are small and your torso is big. Well, obviously your torso is going to be big because you were 360 pounds at one time. You've stretched all that area out, right? You don't tend to stretch out the limbs as much. So you can still prioritize your training for the weaker body parts. So like, say, prioritize your arm training, prioritize your leg training. You don't necessarily have to prioritize as much for the body parts that are naturally big, right? So, I mean, if you got a naturally big chest, naturally big back, and all that, like, you don't necessarily need to prioritize those as much. You can prioritize more of the weaker areas. But I really need to have a chat with you to kind of know your situation, to give you more detailed questions. Because again, like, I'm trying to base a training program off, I was 360 and now I'm 260 and I got small arms. Like, I need more information to really give you more. So again, if you'd like some help, reach out to me, send me an email, and we can chat, and hopefully I'll move you in the right direction. We have Stephen Betancourt from Toronto, Canada, tuning in. Welcome, Stephen. We have Dale's tuning in. He says, I get less than 1 hour of sleep every day. What? I get less than 1 hour of sleep every day and broken up so much. But when I wake up, I feel like I had 9 hours of sleep. I'm so happy. All right. If you can get 9 hours of sleep in 1 hour, bottle that up. Like, tell us your secret. That doesn't seem normal. So I don't know if that's the truth or if it's a troll comment or what. But if that is true, like, you are a unicorn, because very few people can get 1 hour of sleep every day and still feel rested. So if you're doing that, you are a unicorn. You are that one in a million, right? All right, moving on. We have Ange Gardner. Can you answer a question on here? Nobody has managed to answer it. What have I been doing for the last 48 minutes? I've been answering questions. If you have a question, type it into the chat window, and I'll try my best. There. Abram, just commenting, I'm built like Mr. Potato. Let's see what else we got. We got Ralph's joining in. Second, I missed my spot here. Okay. Thanks so much. I needed to hear that about your friend. Had hip replacement, came back strong, still competes. I'm squatting again, trying to get stronger, slow and steady. That's from Mike. Okay, good stuff. You're welcome, Mike. Steve saying, well, I'm not 100%, but I've lost a lot of weight. That's good. It's always a work in progress. Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I don't care who they are, what they are. Like, there's always room for improvement, and it's always a journey. Like, no matter how good you get, there's always another level, right? There's always more there's always something more to strive for. So, like, don't get hung up on trying to be perfect. Just don't be a perfectionist. Be a progressionist, because that's all it is. It's always a state of progression. As long as you're making progress, you're happy. You're feeling good. I mean, then that's the journey. It's not I know it's a so overused cliche, but it's so true. It's not about the destination, it's the journey, right? You're never going to be perfect, right? Nobody's perfect, right? You can even take the top bodybuilders and top athletes and top fitness models. And I mean, if you break them down, like, they've all got flaws. They've all got imperfections. It's just a constant work in progress. And just saying, Lee, why does my grip fatigue so easily in farmer's walk, yet when using heavy grips, hand grippers, I am a machine? Because the farmer's walk is a very hard exercise and it fatigues the grip. I mean, that's normal. That's normal for everybody. The grip is going to be the weak link in everybody's farmer's walk. That's just the way it is. Another thing, when you use heavy grips, hand grippers, it's a very short duration, high intensity squeeze, right? So you take the gripper, you squeeze the shit out of that gripper, boom, it's done and over with. Farmer's walk, there's more time under tension, so you get more fatigue buildup, more fatigue accumulation there. But that's normal for everybody. Like, everyone's going to fatigue with farmer's walks in the grip. Like, that is of the whole exercise, the grip is the weakest link, right? Hands down. You're not going to fatigue because your back fatigues or your legs fatigue or anything like that. It's going to be your hands. Your hands are going to give out first in the farmer's walk, regardless of how strong you are. That's just the way it is. Darren saying, I'm 41. I get sciatica every time I do deadlifts. Have any alternative exercise I could be doing? Well, if deadlifts don't feel right and you're getting pain from doing deadlifts, a suggestion, don't do deadlifts. Do another exercise instead. Try and work around it. Like, you don't have to get hung up on the exercise. Focus on working the muscle. So unless you're a competitive power lifter and you have to deadlift for whatever reason, like if that's your sport, then obviously you have to deadlift. But for health and fitness and getting in shape, just building muscle, losing fat, and feeling better, you don't have to deadlift, right? So if you don't like deadlifts, they don't feel right, then don't do them, or at least do another variation, right? There's all kinds of different deadlift variations. I mean, you can do a conventional deadlift, you can do a sumo deadlift, you can do a Romanian deadlift, you can do a stiff leg deadlift, you can do a power rack lockout deadlift, or different combinations of those, right? Like, you can try and see if you can find a deadlift variation that works for you. And if it still doesn't work, then scrap the deadlift and do other exercises instead. Like, hyperextensions will work the same muscles as a deadlift. Good mornings will work the same muscles as a deadlift, right? Same movement patterns. And even if you can't do that, then you can still just work your back with like rowing exercises and pull down exercises. And you can work your hamstrings and glutes with like leg curls and machine exercises. Like, that's something you really need to kind of like just broaden your perspective. Like, if you can't do an exercise for some reason because it causes pain or discomfort or whatever, don't obsess over it. Just do another exercise instead. Work the muscle. Don't get hung up on the exercise. That's all that really matters. Now, with that being said, I mean, you could still look into like maybe physiotherapist or acupuncture and some of these alternative therapies to see if you can deal with the sciatica nerve pain that you're dealing with so that you can go back to doing deadlifts. But for now, the short-term answer is if this exercise hurts, don't do this exercise. Do something else instead. That's like the quick and dirty answer. Well, it's not quick and dirty, but it's that's what I would do right now. Larry's joining us. He says, I started bodybuilding 2 years ago, and I want to know how often should I change my program? When it stops working for you. That's the simple answer. Like, if you are enjoying your workout, you're making progress with your workout, then, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Keep doing it while it's working. Now, with that being said, if you want to change it up for variety, you want to change it up just, you know, because you feel you're at a plateau, you're stuck, whatever, then that's fine as well. But don't just change it for the sake of changing it. Like, a lot of people get into that habit. They just like, they're always doing something different. Now, that's not necessarily bad. Like, anything is better than nothing. I mean, as long as you're working out consistently, that's the most important thing. But it's nice to have some sort of structure where you're actually following a set plan so that you can monitor your progress. Because if you're constantly doing different stuff all the time, there's no way to really monitor if you're making progress or not, especially if your goal is to get bigger and stronger. And if your goal is just health, fitness, fat loss, like you can kind of just wing it if you want, and still, as long as you're burning more calories than you consume, you can create in that calorie deficit, then you can achieve fat loss goals. But if your goal is actually building muscle and strength, it's nice to have more of a structured plan in place so that you have a baseline and you can actually see, okay, are you getting stronger? Are you increasing your work capacity on these exercises? And if not, then we can make some appropriate changes accordingly. So it really depends on the bigger picture of what it is that you're trying to achieve. And you need to look at that. But for people from a bodybuilding, muscle building point of view, I do recommend sticking to the same program for a minimum of 6 weeks and ideally 12 weeks or more. Again, if you're making progress with it and you're enjoying it, stick it out, right? Ride the wave of momentum, right? Keep doing it until you hit a plateau, until the gains stop coming, and then we can change it up. But I would recommend, don't just get in there and start program hopping where you like, oh, I seen this workout on YouTube today, I'm going to do that. And then, next day, oh, I seen this workout over on Instagram, I'm going to do that. And oh, this guy posted on bodybuilding.com, I'm going to do that. And then you're going all over the place. And then you don't know what the heck you're doing, what the heck's working. You're just, right. It's all over the place. It's like trying to cook a meal and you're trying to combine different recipes. And then you just have this mishmash of stuff and you don't know what the heck you got in the pot, right? Like, say, oh, I'll put in a little bit of this and I'll put in a little bit of that and I'll put in a bit of this. And the next thing you know, you just got this big bob of mess, right? Whereas if you follow one recipe, then you can actually have a delicious, tasty meal. But if you try and throw in too much of everything, then you don't know what the heck you got going on. Now, you still got a pot of food, but it might not taste good, right? Same thing with your program, right? Like anything's better than nothing. But it's better to have some structure, and it's better to follow a structured plan and let that thing work for you. So again, I know that was kind of rambling all over the place. I get like that sometimes. But the simple answer, stick to it for at least 6 weeks, and ideally stick to it longer than that. Let the program work. And when it stops working, meaning you stop seeing progress, your strength is plateauing, or worse, your strength is actually going down, which does happen. Like you'll follow a set program and your strength will go up and up and up and up and up, and then it usually plateaus and it might even start to drop down. If you get to the point where it starts to drop down, change up what you're doing, right? That means you need to change up something. Change up the exercise, change up the split, change up the set and rep pattern, like change up something. Don't continue to beat your head against the wall doing something that's not working. All right. Again, if you'd like to chat about it, email me, right? We can actually discuss. I can actually share some of the different programs and stuff. And one of the things, if you'd like to have a structured plan to follow, like over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Inner Circle, like we've had that on the go now for my goodness. That's been on the go since 2014, I believe we started the Inner Circle, somewhere around there. I could be wrong, but it's been at least that long or more. But we have a whole database of different workout programs. And we also have the programs are structured in such a way that we have complementary programs. So like if you hit a plateau with a strength program, then, the next complementary program will be like a conditioning program. And then when you hit a plateau with your conditioning program, the next complementary one might be a hypertrophy program. And we have the programs structured so that they're complementary, working on different energy systems and different aspects of strength and muscle development. Versus like doing a heavy strength program and you hit a plateau with that and say, well, I'm going to do another heavy strength program. It's too similar and we might not get the same results. But usually you get the best results when you introduce a new training modality after your body has had a chance to adapt, plateau, and grow to the previous one. So again, if you'd like some help with that, email me or head on over to Total Fitness Bodybuilding and you can sign up for the Inner Circle and get access to our years of databases of workouts. Let's see what else we've got. Noel is joining us. How many grams of fiber daily do you recommend on high protein diet? I actually don't measure my fiber, but I eat a lot of fiber because I eat a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of high fiber food. I don't know how many grams it is. I don't actually calculate it out, but it's a lot. This is a recommendation. you're eating a high protein diet, which is good. You know, I mean, like within reason, like high protein is all relative to the individual. Like what's high for you? Like high protein in bodybuilding terms is like a gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. Like that's usually the general rule of thumb. And it's so simple. It's so old. It's as old as dirt, but it's a darn good rule of thumb. Unless, of course, you're really overweight. Like if someone's got an extra 100 pounds to lose, then no, you don't need to consume that much protein. But if you're close to your ideal body weight, then that 1 gram per pound of body weight is a good place to be. So if you're consuming that much protein, again, just throw some numbers. A 200-pound man is eating 200 grams of protein. That's a good place to be. What I recommend you do is every single meal have protein and vegetables. Protein and vegetables. Make sure that you're pairing them up. Protein and veggies, not just protein. A big mistake that a lot of bodybuilders make, especially guys who are just counting macros, is they just think, well, as long as I get my protein, as long as I get my carbs, as long as I get my fat, I'm good. But the problem with that is you're not getting the micronutrients. And that's where the natural fruits and vegetables come into play. Because they have the micronutrients, they've got natural phytochemicals and digestive enzymes and all this good stuff. Plus they got fiber, which is going to help aid with digestion and improve your overall health. So protein by nature is very acidic. Vegetables by nature are very alkaline. You want to combine them together so you help to balance that acid-alkaline balance. So every single time I sit down to a meal, I have protein and veggies, protein and veggies. I don't care if it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack before bed, it's protein and veggies. Now, if I can't get solid food protein, I'll have a protein shake. If I can't have solid food veggies, I'll have a greens shake. So I'm still getting my protein and veggies, whether it comes from solid food or supplement form. So to throw out an example, like let's say in the morning, I'm pressed for time and I don't, I can't make a protein and vegetable meal. Then I might have a blender smoothie and I'll throw in some protein powder and some greens powder along with it. So I'm still getting my protein and veggies that way. So you can supplement with it and make up for it, but always think protein and veggies, whether it's solid food or from supplement form. And if you just follow those two habits alone, protein and veggies with every single meal, like that will put you, that's kind of like the 80-20 rule. Like that's the little 20% step that'll give you 80% of the results. Protein and veggies with every single meal, right? That's your 20% effort for 80% of the results. Then if you want to maximize that other 20%, send me an email and we can chat and come up with more advanced strategies to fill in the gaps. But like that will put you on the right track right there. Protein and veggies. If you get nothing else from this video chat, protein and veggies with every single meal. Put you on the right track. And that will cover your fiber intake as well, because you're getting the fiber from the veggies. Like if you're doing that with every single meal, you don't need to be worrying about, oh, do I need to be supplement with Metamucil and psyllium husk and like all that crap. No, let your fiber come from real food. Protein and veggies. Well, the protein doesn't have fiber, but the veggies do. All right, where else do we do, guys? We're actually at the hour mark, so I'm going to get ready and clue it up because I still have to get back to my seminar that I'm doing. Like I kind of stepped away from the seminar that I was doing to do this video chat. For those of you who are just tuning in now, you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm attending a virtual fitness mastermind event for the next 3 days. For 3 days in a row, I'm doing a virtual mastermind event because we had planned to do one in person, but they got canceled due to the whole COVID thing, so we're all doing it virtually. And I've got 2 computers going. I'm doing one live video chat with you. I got another one virtual seminar on Zoom happening now, and I decided to just go put myself on mute so I can still do my video chat with you. Anyway, I got to clue up this video chat so I can get back to the seminar that I'm attending, which I'm actually stepped out of temporarily. So hopefully you enjoyed this video chat. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, right? Give it a thumbs up, like. I appreciate the likes, and the more support I get, the more I'm actually going to do these video chats. And if you would need some help with anything, or you want some more clarification on any of the topics that we covered, because I know sometimes I'm only scratching the surface with some of these, send me an email. My email address is leeh@leehayward.com. I actually answer my own emails. It might take me a little while to get back to you, especially if I get a flood of emails, but I do answer them. And if you would like some help, or you would like to just clarify some questions, feel free to email me, and we can have a conversation, a chat. And if I can help you, great. If not, then I'll try and point you in the right direction to someone who can. Either way, you'll come away better off than you were before. So go ahead, do that, and I will talk to you next Friday. Same time, same place. Have yourself a great weekend. Take care. Over and out.